G'day folks, everything new under the sun, Bible Prophecy Update, breaking news. This is incredible news out of Israel. and, there was just a second assassination attempt on Trump. And that's not even the biggest news that's old. That's day old news, isn't it? This is coming out of Lebanon. A cyber attack on hundreds of Hezbollah terrorists. But that's not the key interesting piece about it. It's that there was a cyber attack on pagers of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah members had pagers, and they all exploded at once via a massive cyber attack. Hezbollah was caught off guard by a cyber attack on the Lebanon terrorist organization pagers that wounded thousands of its members. Now there's videos, images. This is jpost.com. You can go there, check it out. Interesting thing. Now this happened to hundreds of Hezbollah folks, and maybe even others who had the pagers, although very specific people would have these pagers. And quickly, I want to talk about this one. So, Canadian Prepper, he was talking about this issue, and he was suggesting, well, it was due to thermal overload on these pagers. Right, thousands of devices, and he says, you know what, you can cyber attack and hack into all these devices and cause thermal overload. Well, lithium batteries can catch on fire. You can watch videos on YouTube about that, and they can be hacked. The devices they're attached to, and potentially have a runaway thermal event, which would cause a fire. But that does not really cause an explosion. Certainly not. A single event where they all go off at once. So I don't think it's a runaway thermal, fire of some sort related to the lithium batteries. The chance of that happening, he goes on to say, well, or suggests to say that your cell phone could be hacked and it would explode in your pocket just like these Hezbollah members. Well, no, I don't think so. Especially with the small batteries that would be in these pagers that they were using. And there's pictures of them. I think there's pictures on Twitter. Here's a picture of one of the supposed devices. Now, the batteries are tiny in these. What is more likely is that Israel, Mossad, handed out these devices via a proxy, via, this Teletrim company, whatever it is, to the members of Hezbollah. They dispersed them. They've been using them for a while. These don't look like new devices. These look like kind of older technology devices. And so they've been around for a while, and they probably had some C4 in them, some explosive material for them, and a trigger, some sort of trigger that could be triggered by, calling those devices from a particular phone number, for example. So these had to be, I would think these would have to be specifically programmed and handed out to do this. I don't think this is a straight up cyber attack. They could get cyber attack them and disable them or cause something to go on with the battery, but that's highly unlikely. And the fact that it only happened to Hezbollah, now there may be some civilians involved, but that it didn't happen across Israel, for example, or across Syria or across Turkey, this means that this was a pinpoint attack by an intelligence agency of some sort. And what's more likely, I think, is that in fact they didn't mean to set them all off, because this actually could trigger all-out war. Possibly they had these all rigged, and they wanted to figure out who were the leaders, and pinpoint and go after the specific leaders who had the particular phone numbers and the particular pager devices, and not just hit everybody, because it makes no sense to hit everybody in Hezbollah, especially if you're not going to absolutely delete them. This injured hundreds. I don't know that this killed any of them. It just says thousands reported injured. So a couple of thoughts on that, and I think Canadian Prepper is incorrect there. I don't, your phone that's in your pocket, A, you shouldn't have one. I don't have one. B, if you do have one, buy a Faraday bag for it, a Faraday cage / bag. It is a bag, wrapped with metal so that no signals can get in and out. So when you want to go incognito, you slip it into that Faraday cage or Faraday bag, and they can't track you. They can't send any signals to the device. So that's something to think about. But on top of that, or aside from that, they can hack into it, and they can listen to you and watch you through the camera, and they can do all sorts of things. But make a phone explode that doesn't have actual explosives in it, I don't think that's feasible. And I come from a technology sector point of view. Canadian Prepper comes from a sociology point of view, whatever it may be, and a prepper point of view. No, they're not going after all your phones, but you do need to be very careful about tracking, positioning, and eavesdropping with your cell phones. So that is something to be aware of with cyber attacks. But it does suggest that, the whole cyber attack arena is way bigger than we think it is. And what devices could they plant on people that they could then go and attack? What devices in your home have been planted by nefarious nation states or three-letter agencies, whatever it may be, such as your internet router that was built where? Could they have built it with a back door so that they could get in and then directly attack your network? Very, absolutely. I have a Tenda router, and it's made in China. Do I know that it has a back door or not? I don't. Is it secure as I can make it? Probably could be more secure, but these are the things to pay attention to. Interesting thing, this was covered by Fellowship Bible Prophecy. What's his name? Hallard. John Haller. And he played this video where it's this update on the assassination attempt. And he goes on to suggest that maybe there's something bigger coming down the pipeline. And that they need more resources for that. But the update on U.S. civil defense is acting Secret Service Director let slip that they are preparing for World War III to kick off very soon. And when you see an event like this, like hundreds of pagers go off and attack Hezbollah, if World War III was coming, maybe this is the way they would start. I can't imagine for a second that Israel intended to set off these devices. They would save that for a day when maybe they were on their back heels, or they would save that for a prime opportunity for a specific time to deploy this. They wouldn't let them off. It's just like China. China can destroy us likely with cyber attacks. So can Russia. But they're not going to do it. They're saving that. They're keeping that in their back pocket for when they really need it. So, again, I don't think Israel necessarily intended this if they were the ones behind it. And you and I know that's, they're at war with Lebanon, with Hezbollah specifically. So it makes sense that it would be them in this case. So be aware that any electronic device can be hacked, cyber attacked, and anything is vulnerable. Everything is listening. Everything is watching. If you have a camera on your laptop, it's watching. It doesn't matter if it's being used by for nefarious purposes right now. It could be at a later date and time, and you wouldn't even know it. Just be aware that that's happening. Be aware of what you're saying. Be aware of what you're doing anytime around any electronics. And even if you're not around electronics, remember, satellites can look down and see a basketball from space. They can zoom in and do digital surveillance, and they see everything too. So just be aware. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Be aware that there's eyes in the sky all over. There's ears all around you, and you need to be aware of this for the stuff that's coming, so that you can make choices accordingly. Right? Pay attention. Understand what stops radio signals. Faraday cage, Faraday bags, Faraday devices. A piece of black tape over a camera lens. That's a good way to stop a camera. Hard to do with anything with in terms of listening devices, because there are all sorts of devices. Your smartphone, or your smart TV rather, listens and maybe even records. Some of them have cameras on them. So you need to be aware of that kind of stuff. So, breaking news that apparently thousands of Hezbollah terrorists just had something blow up on their side, probably C4, probably some sort of planted explosives that Israel could track. They probably knew the way. They probably had a GPS chip on them. Your phones all have GPS chips in them. Every electronic device has a GPS chip. They would know where these are. They can track them. They have all sorts of surveillance. Mossad You wonder how they know where the leaders are. Well, that's how they're tracking them everywhere. They give these devices through proxies. They give a hacked batch of cell phones to whatever the local cell phone agency is, or a paging service, and they sell them over the years. And at the right time, they hack in. This is what China does. They build these devices with back doors, and maybe 5, 10, 15 years down the road, when all of a sudden they decide, oh, let's exploit that. Let's make use of that loophole that we've been waiting on. We've been sitting on for all this time. Or even better yet, don't exploit it, or don't blow it up or anything, but actually just monitor. Use it for monitoring. Make it look like a benign piece of software or hardware that just works and does what you want. Meanwhile, they are moving all that data back to servers offshore, whatever it may be, and tracking and monitoring, getting to know your daily life, your daily routine, so that they know the daily life and routine of every U.S. citizen, every Canadian citizen, every a British citizen, every citizen all around the world, and foreign or domestic, any intelligence agency would have access to that and use it at a time when they deem necessary. So, interesting story, developing story. Pay attention to it. Eyes wide open. Be prepared.